Hello everyone, this is Outstar and welcome to the next episode of Coteries of New York after a short Christmas break. I hope your stomachs are full with Christmas food or blood or whatever is your preference, because today we're going to go visit Nosferatu DeAngelo. Why? Because I really like Nosferatu and I like DeAngelo. I met him in the previous build of the game I was playing and he was super fun to hang out with. So let's go and see what's up with this guy. Okay, you notice something strange by the front door of your haven. There's a letter slipped under the door in a cream-colored, old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. I don't think we're actually going to visit DeAngelo right now. I think the resting came first, but we'll see. Opening the letter, it's clear it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned. Rich or a fan of a classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. The note is small and terse, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. There is no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. Now we go to DeAngelo. Oh, who is that? You've received an invitation to meet a mysterious someone at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. I kind of want to go. We're supposed to go to DeAngelo, but this seems to be interesting. And look at this avatar. It's someone I don't know. I'm going. You can't stop me. You haven't been to a church since you became a vampire, or kindred, as the euphemism goes. You've had to focus on concrete, practical things like survival and feeding. You've learned the essentials of the vampire experience, but you don't really have a clear idea of what it all means. The Cathedral of St. John the Divine is a New York landmark. You've been inside once before you were much younger. You marveled at its Gothic facade. I love the image, it's beautiful. Looking at it from across the street, it feels ominous. The prospect of an anonymous invitation to a secret meeting is a worrying one, but the venue is well chosen. It's hard to imagine a violent attack in a place like this, with eyes everywhere. You entered the cathedral discreetly. You've quickly learned this is an essential skill for a vampire, how to move without anyone noticing you. The full force of the cathedral's architecture hits you as you walk between the pews. If the architect meant to create the feeling of being small in the face of God's glory, mission accomplished. Based on the note, you're assuming that whoever you're meeting is somewhere in the front. As you step closer to the high altar, it feels as if something is dragging at your feet, as if the stone beneath you resisted your movements. Does God still listen to me? It's been a long time since you prayed. You wonder whether God listens to creatures like you. Fatalistically, you take a step, then another. You're not sure if your God is present in this cathedral, but perhaps it doesn't matter. What you feel is real enough. There's an old man sitting in the front. You see only the back of his head bowed down in silent prayer. Your footsteps echo on the floor and he turns to look at you. You can't take your eyes off him. He's tall, dignified, white hair balding, a few strands escaping to the sides. He's wearing glasses and simple clerical clothing. His eyes are warm and pale, too kind for someone like you. Something is wrong. You feel heavy, as if a giant hand was pressing you down. The skin on your face is burning. Perhaps unconsciously, you expected something like this as a vampire walking into a cathedral. Only it's not the building or God making you feel like you're burning alive. It's the man, the priest. True faith! Oh my god, no! I had hopes that maybe we'll meet some La Sombra, because La Sombra do control Catholic Church. And yeah, but no. Welcome, my child. The priest's tone is kind, but the rising panic inside is telling you that the kindness is not for the likes of you. Confront him. The only way to understand these painful feelings is to push forward and confront the priest. As you step closer, the priest, panic rises inside you. The emotions are hard to control: fear, anger, pain, all trying to wrestle you in different directions. Away. Can I help you? Are you okay? The priest talks to you like he would a lost vagrant who has chosen to enter the house of God. I'm sorry, Father. I'm so sorry. It's alright. Do you wish to pray? It's simply too much. You mutter something incoherent in reply. You don't sound like a vampire, an undead being made powerful by immortal blood. You're just another sad, confused, lost soul. You turn around and stagger away, only feeling like yourself once you're back on the street outside. You stand on the sidewalk, confused and scared. No enemies seem to be attacking you. The priest didn't follow you. The night air is wet with the smells of the city, the same as every night. How did it feel? You look at the man speaking to you. He's well-dressed, if a little archaic. Dark-haired, handsome, like a character from an old movie. He smiles as if he knows something you don't. You glance around. There are people on the street. You don't appear to be in immediate danger. Did you do this to me? No, absolutely not. Let me introduce myself. My name is Benoit Seagal. We share many things in common, even if you don't know me. Benoit offers his hand to you. I'm not sure if he's Benoit or however, but I will call him Benoit. You shake hands and use your vampiric senses. Benoit is a vampire, that much is clear. Wow, I do have a high level ability. It's called Scry the Soul, and it allows me, I think it's a 3rd level ability in V5 book, and it allows you to do multiple things. First of all, you can check out whether someone is a vampire, human, or other supernatural creature. You can also check if the person possesses true faith or not. So this is good to search for inquisitors, for example. Then you also are able to see the auras around people. So you can see colorful auras that indicate their particular feelings at the moment, which may be useful in checking the potential resonance in their blood. Yeah, it depends on how many successes you get when you are doing the Scry the Soul, but you are able to get a lot of information from that ability. So he's a vampire. He's using his blood to simulate the functions of a living body, that's called Blush of Life, but the rhythm of his heartbeat reveals its artificial nature. Would you mind sitting with me for a moment? Benoit points to a park bench nearby, in darkness because of a broken streetlight. Wary, you decide to follow him. Only an enemy totally unconcerned with the masquerade would attack you here. Benoit sits down and you follow suit. For a moment, you both contemplate the cathedral in silence. I know how it feels, what you just felt. I have experienced it many, many times. For a moment, you consider how to respond. It's clear Benoit sent the invitation to come here and orchestrated this little setup. What's the point? Why did you go to the trouble of getting me here? We share a connection, you and I. I'll explain later, but right now the important thing is that it's so much easier to show than tell. I want you to meet Father Anthony, or see him, experience him. Did you wonder why it felt like that? At first I thought it was because I was in a church, but then I realized it came from him, the priest. I think you're right. It does come from him. It's his faith that makes you feel like that. His faith in his belief, while you are one of the damned. Do you ever wonder what's the role of a vampire in God's creation? So here's an interesting thing that not a lot of people know. I mean, even if you read the core book, I feel like it's something that, a conclusion that not a lot of people take from it. Because when you read about true faith, you automatically think about the faith in God. And as much as you may interpret it as a faith in a different God, so you can be a true faith believer in Allah or true faith believer in Catholic God. But what actually is a thing is that it can be true faith in anything. It can be even true faith in another person, worshipping someone. So the recent book, Cults of the Blood Gods, which I described in my previous video, when you believe so strongly, when you are mortal, and you believe so strongly in something else, you also may possess the true faith, which will give you a weapon, unconscious even weapon, against vampires. So it doesn't have to be a god per se. It can be a concept. It can be a belief that you don't really share with anyone else. You can just believe in it yourself. So I think the true faith has a very broad definition, and you can really use it in various ways. In our campaign, back in the days, we actually used it as a person who was worshipping another player, and this was actually the source of a true faith in a character, which was, I think, a pretty interesting concept. So yeah, you can interpret it in various ways. You stop to think. Of course you've wondered what this all is about. Whether it's about God or nature, you don't really know what being a vampire means. That's the trouble with the masquerade. A human faced with a human problem can go online and find something that helps. You cannot. The masquerade means that everything there is to know about your condition is secret, hidden away. You've left relying on the unreliable opinions of people like Benoit. Why are we considering him unreliable? Come on. He looks very trustworthy. Suddenly Benoit takes your hand and presses it against his chest. As he stares into your eyes, you feel his heart stop. My heart no longer beats, yet I move, I talk. Is that how God intended us to be? Whoa, I don't believe in the supernatural. There's a natural explanation for all of this, we just don't know it. Maybe there is. I don't know either, but I know that Father Anthony's faith is real. Sometimes I'm skeptical too, but in Father Anthony's presence I know faith is real. I know it because it hurts so much, but perhaps you have questions about faith in our kinds. Ari's a bad boy to say that. How do you know any of these stories are true? I don't. How could I know? This is what faith is. You have to believe something, good and evil, right and wrong, love and hate. I believe we are damned. I also believe that there is always hope. Grace. Father Anthony's faith shows me the way. It's so easy for us to lose ourselves in the morass of occult speculation. Some of our kind revere Cain, others Lilith, the Bahari. Many in the Camarilla place their faith in the invisible guidance of the Methuselahs, who are supposed to watch over us. This is so fun, because I've just read the Cults book and my previous video is just about that, and it's so on point. I'm very happy that I came to meet this guy. Yet I wonder how much that really matters when compared to the character of a good man. Did you have anything else, or did I come here just to talk about religion? I know it's overwhelming. It was for me when I first met Father Anthony. I know there are others like him whose faith shines like a beacon. Priests, old ladies, children. Anyone can have that conviction inside them. Before we talk anymore, I have to pray for guidance. I don't know what to think and I need help. Benoit nods patiently. Let's meet again in a few nights, here at the cathedral. We can talk more after you've thought it through. You leave Benoit sitting in the shadow of the cathedral, contemplating what lies within. It would be easier to ignore his words without the reality of what you experienced. Father Anthony was holy. You know it to be true, but what does it mean? Interesting. I really want to meet this guy again, because I want to talk about vampiric religions, because that's a cool topic to talk about. Anyway, DeAngelo, let's go. As you make your way down the Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stop to take in the familiar bouquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame. Once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant splayed out on the riverbank, forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy at the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you find yourself in a large empty hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading up to a mezzanine, that's how you pronounce it, I think. Most likely an office space. And then you see it, a faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb up the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray and papers scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly it hits you, that nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap is already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder. The barrel of the gun raps against your spine. A raspy voice whispers in your ear.
Let me guess. Took a wrong turn at the third silo?
Decide to play along. Raising your arms slowly, you weigh your next words carefully. You're pretty sure a bullet to the back wouldn't kill you, but it doesn't sound too pleasant either. Easy now. Let's not do anything rash.
That's good advice, kid. I suggest you take it. Any way you want to play this, I'm all in. So, what'll it be? The easy way or the hard way?
Let's go with easy. I'm here to talk.
Good call.
In a strange interplay of light and shadow, the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, for the lack of a better word, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu? The way Sophie described them, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity, but this guy, the clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, it all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, he could possibly pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you.
So, what brings you to my humble office?
You the one they call DeAngelo?
That's my name, kid. Don't worry about it.
My friend called me Jin, so you best stick to DeAngelo for the time being.
Now, I suggest you tell me what this is all about. Otherwise, I kindly ask you to get the fuck out of my office.
Charming. I can see why Kadir keeps you around. His expression sours.
Not a name you wanna casually toss around, kid.
But hey, I get it. You're not just some random schmuck who wandered in here off the street.
So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who I work for is less important. What am I working on, however?
I know. I'm here to help. The Redwick murders, I know. I want to help you catch the killer. His moldy lips twist into a smile.
Do you now?
DeAngelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds, he sits motionless with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly, he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then he drills it into his shoulder holster in a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced. A lot, in front of a mirror. You see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue.
Sure, they seem to care. What was the end game? What was their angle? Everybody's got one, even if they pretend like they don't, especially then. What the hell? Maybe this town finally got to me.
He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar between his crooked teeth.
Maybe a good leap of faith is just what the doctor ordered.
Offer him a light. As he reaches into his pocket, you flash a lit lighter before his eyes. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second, he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your lighter, puffing on the stick as it catches fire. A wry smile comes back to his lips.
I like you, kid. You may look like a used car salesman, but there's just something about you. Tell you what, I was just about to head back to the crime scene, take a look around, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want to. I could use an assistant, someone to take notes and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows, if you're any good, I might consider making this a long-term arrangement.
You won't regret it.
Guess we'll find out. There's one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done some digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answers me this. Who was it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or in layman's terms, who do you work for?
Sophie Langley. For the first time since you got here, the Nosferatu adopts a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile.
So you're the one, huh? The fledgling deteriorator Dame Spared. Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing her name around. Thanks for being upfront, kid.
One blink is enough for you to miss DeAngelo vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears right next to you, up close. His smile is even more unnerving.
Alright, moonlight's burning, let's get cracking.
With a certain fascination, you watch DeAngelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for a bout and mumbling narration. He's most certainly a sight to behold. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. There's definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off of Van Brunt Street and into a particularly dingy alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be a place.
Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him, drained dry, not a drop of blood on him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body, so I don't know if there were any bite marks. So, what can you tell me?
You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline on the pavement, the man was killed recently. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be a trace of blood or viscera, and you know the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast or that thorough. Looking up, how do I know that? How do I know that? Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall. It reads, "The blood speaks," in a big crooked letters. You look to DeAngelo. The Nosferatu gives you an expecting look. Did you say the victim was drained dry? Because I don't see a trace of blood anywhere.
Good eye, kid. It's the details that count.
And given that the murder was committed right here and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that the killer was kindred.
Bingo. Only a kindred could drain a human this quickly, this quietly. But not just any kindred. Take a look at the graffiti. What do you think it means?
It seems desperate.
My thoughts exactly. It's as if someone wanted to get a message across, but was too scared to stick around and write the whole damn book. So we get the abridged version. Tell me, if you were to guess, which clan would you say our killer belongs to?
I don't even... Okay, I do know I'm Alcavian. I don't even know Tremier's, but I would say Finbloods. This has Finbloods written all over it. Do I even know about Finbloods already? Why would I guess? How would I know that? Finbloods, vampires with blood so diluted they retain many human traits. The Finbloods are invariably clanless. Survivors of the last decades of pogroms, prejudice, and ostracization, their numbers now swell. Their messy street alchemy and ability to pass as human makes them uniquely suited to thrive outside kindred society and make their own fate in the postmodern nights. The Finblooded can be of a mortal origin and are not affected by their parent clan's curse, nor by their preferences in the same degree as their sire. In 2009, the Inner Circle of the Camarilla issued an edict that all Finblooded must be branded or tattooed with the mark of the crescent moon. Inked by a Tremere tattoo artist or scorched with a beam of sunlight, the brand is irreversible. Many kindred still viewed the Finnbloods as a threat to the masquerade, weaklings, runoffs, abortions, and will destroy them if given a chance. Those who don't despise Finnbloods tend to call them the young ones, chameleons, or duskborns. Yeah, my character wouldn't know that, so that was a wild guess on his part. Methuselah is a vampire who has existed for a millennium or more, an elder who no longer participates in kindred society. In most cases. Methuselahs are rumored to hail from the 4th and 5th generations. What about Cain? A mythical figure considered to be the first and most powerful vampire. Some vampires refer to themselves as Cainites, members of the race of Cain. We also have people who believe in Cain as a god, the Cainites, heresy, boyas, but everyone knows that we all come from Lilith, and the Bahari are the ones who are right. Wink. In bright neon letters, a fully fledged kindred would use his powers to lure the victim somewhere out of sight, and they certainly wouldn't stick around for the shitty art project. He pauses, spits out the mangled remains of a cigar. Shit. Looks like we're gonna have to pay Larson a visit. Who? Who's Larson? Jeez, you really are new to this, ain't ya? Larson, as in Robert Larson, the Finnblood primogen, we've met him. Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but he could probably make an educated guess. In any case, we'd be doing him a favor. If it turns out one of his is violating the masquerade, it would put him in a hell of an awkward position. And I mean shitting upside down awkward. It's the kind of weakness the other primogen would love to exploit. His position in the council is bad as it is. He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself, but it's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar. He takes a puff and lets the smoke escape through his crooked smile. Alright, kid, let's go get this over with. Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling Place is quite of a change of scenery. The heavily gentrified and pleasantly dull residential area emanates the sort of peaceful apathy that rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops. It almost seems like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself for things to come. This is the place. With that, he points to a surprisingly nice-looking two-story house. The place is almost completely dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. It's probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire. Okay, kid, we gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions, you rank me lord gentle. We need to get Larson out here without making a fuss or letting his family see us. If we blow this, he'll shut down like a speakeasy on raid night. Trust me, I know. So, as I told you guys in the video where I did like my initial impressions review of this game, this is crazy. The Finnblood primogen is still living with his goddamn family. He's a freaking cleaver. How does it work? So what's the plan?
Tell you what, how about you take the lead on this one? I'm curious to see how you handle it.
You take a step back and look around the area. The lit up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larson's attention, his and no one else's. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you are suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound of the dog's barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from, as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. I'm not going to feed from him, although I need to feed because I use Auspex, so I think my character is getting hungry, but he has a doggo, and it's a Rottweiler, which is a big doggo. And doggos, they react badly to vampires, so I don't want to be bitten by a Rottweiler. Throw a small rock at the window. You kneel down and pick a rock off the lawn, one small enough to not break glass, but big enough to get someone's attention. Deftly, you chuck the rock at the window. It bounces off the glass with a quiet but audible punk. Moments pass in silence, making you think that no one got your message. Just as you start to look for another rock, you hear the window slide open. A very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck appears at the window. As soon as he notices you, his expression sours, like he just smelled something rotten. He addresses your Nosferatu partner in what you could only be described as a very loud and very angry whisper. Get the fuck off my lawn, DeAngelo. You know goddamn better than to show your ugly mug around here. You glance over to DeAngelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. We wouldn't have bothered you if this wasn't important. Excuse me, who the fuck are you anyway? We talked! Robert! What is wrong with you? Screw it, stay where you are. You wait out in the lawn, listening to Larson quietly making his way downstairs. Before long, he appears in the porch, locking the front door behind him. He motions at you to follow him off to the side of the house. There, he turns towards you. What do you want? It's about the Red Hawk murders. We think one of yours is responsible. Bullshit! A Dustburn got enough trouble just staying alive out there. What could possibly make them openly violate the masquerade? Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they are, I think they know something. Something they can't share with just, anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way this puzzle fits together. Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching. Trying to find a scapegoat. Get in your boss's good graces. Words get around, DeAngelo. You think I don't know who you're working for? Who is he working for? For Kadir? Is that what he means? Then help us clear your people's name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. It's just an excuse they need to get rid of me. What if it turns out one of yours did it and you sat on your hands to protect him? You think the council won't jump on that? He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around, consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as this. Deal. Good. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home and decides it's best to move along. You walk a couple blocks in utter silence. Even DeAngelo's mumbling seems to have taken a backseat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you. Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I sure could use a drink. Something warm, in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tell you your score. Let's see now. You did make a good first impression. I like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap, bullets, not so much. You held your own at the crime scene. Nothing I hadn't figured out on my own, but hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet me at the office. He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back towards you. And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have a notepad. Alrighty. That was a cool first meeting, but yeah, I feel like there was a little bit of a back in the storyline in there where Larson, or maybe he just wouldn't recognize us, but we did meet Larson in the past and he acted like we didn't meet him. But anyway, I feel like DeAngelo is a very enticing person to meet with, and I see that the next people we have on the list are, again, Hope. We have Agathon and we have Tamika. I feel we are going to go to either Agathon or Tamika next. I want to meet all of them. Anyway, guys, that will be all for today. I think it was a little bit shorter, but now they're going to happen more often, so don't worry about that. Don't get lost in the night and see you in the next one. Goodbye.